what's up everybody? It's Lids, and we're back for some more Gwent, and today we're going to be playing more of the dual casting seasonal event, which means that the first special card that we play on our turn, we will play twice. And ladies and gentle witchers, I have an important announcement. I have had the honor of speaking to the doctor of dual casting, the sensei of this seasonal event, and they have given me a glorious gift that has guided me on the way. A gift that I am honored to share with you today. What am I talking about? A ridiculously powerful deck, of course. Let's go check it out. So today we'll be playing a Pincer Maneuver Northern Realms deck that will be focusing on playing the Siege scenario and a bunch of Siege engines and Warfare cards. The Siege scenario will of course spawn in a bunch of Siege units whenever we play Siege units, and with a bunch of cards with resupply, we will gain a ton of power whenever we play our Warfare cards. Combine that with tons of tutor cards like Oneiromancy and Amphibious Assault, and we have an extremely powerful deck. So I'll flip through all the cards in the deck here just to show you what we're working with in full, but I will, of course, as always, leave the deck list and link in the description, so if you want to try it out for yourself, that is certainly an option, and I highly recommend that you do so, because this one is a lot of fun, and it is extremely powerful. So there's a look at the deck, and with all that warfare and resupply happening, we are going to have a ton of damage to absolutely obliterate our opponents. Okay, so we'll go against Scoia'tael here, and we'll go first. And we have Amphibious Assault, that's great. Oneiromancy as well, okay, awesome. Then let's get rid of Kaedweni Knight. We want to keep you in our deck, ideally. And I would kind of like to play Siege Master using either Oneiromancy or Amphibious Assault as well. Potentially even the Mantlet too. So let's dump you and dump you. Okay, I think that's good. And now here, I think we do deliberately start off with the Mantlet to give ourselves some armor on some of our units to make it harder to get rid of them. So let's go Mantlet 1, followed by Mantlet 2. Okay, see, like, they're going to try to do damage here. And it's going to take both rounds of their special card to actually destroy one of these Mantlets. So we'll take that. Okay, and now I think we probably do go Amphibious Assault. And just to double check, I'm thinking we probably go some combination of Siege Masters and or Reinforced Ballistas. We have one of those in our hand right now. So I think maybe we go Ballista first, followed by Siege Master. Okay, now see, they're going to try to destroy the Siege Master, and again, it's going to take them 2 rounds of that special card to get rid of one of our units. And then maybe we play our other Reinforced Trebuchet now. And this, again, would take 2 special cards to remove, so I think we live with that, although it is tempting to try to use our tactic here to defend it a little bit more. Okay, Shaping Nature. They'll get some points out here, but these are not really the engines that they want to be building up, so I think this is fine. Okay, what we do here is I think we go Natalis into Reinforcements and create more copies of these guys right here, the Ballistas. And now ideally we would have had the ability to get these guys boosted up further in the process, but unfortunately we lost the Siege Master. Could have potentially gone with Pincer Maneuver first, but I think we would like to get a little bit more of a setup here for the damage once they do actually get some of those engines out there. Okay, they're at a pass. A very early pass at that. Quick, round 1 victory here. Okay, we of course get our other copies of Amphibious Assault and Oneiromancy here, and I think we probably want to keep our units in our deck if possible. Make those the targets of our Amphibious Assaults, of course, and that means we'll try into our other Oneiromancy, and we're a card down here, but I think we might go for the 2-0, especially if, say, we go Oneiromancy here into Siege, and then into Pavetta to bring back all of our Ballistas for future Amphibious Assault plays. They're gonna play a trap. Okay, admittedly not what I was expecting. I thought this was gonna be more of a Gord Symbiosis deck, but perhaps not. Okay, they're actually gonna just destroy our first card there. Sure. Now, I think what we do here is before we go Amphibious Assault into all of our Ballistas, that would be good, but that would, of course, trigger our Bombardment against no units. So I think we first go with a U, Oneiromancy into a Siege Master, get you down there a little bit earlier, and then for our other card, our other biggest engine would be Trollololo. Let's put you in maybe melee. Okay, and here comes the damage. Now, I think this is fine because we have Necromancy, so we can bring this card back. Shouldn't be a problem. And again, it takes them 2 rounds of special cards just to destroy one of our units, and that is a decent trade. I think we'll still take that. And just to double check, our graveyard here has 1 Siege Master, 2 Siege Masters, so that's great. Let's do that. So these guys will be our setup to make our future Ballista plays stronger. Okay, well, they're gonna lock 1, which is unfortunate. Oh, actually, they're gonna lock Trollololo. A little bit surprised by that. But they may not realize just how strong the setup is gonna end up being. So let's get the Amphibious Assault action happening now. We're gonna go Ballista number 1. And Ballista number 2, and this will trigger Bombardment, destroying just about everything they have here. We could use our Siege Master boost to get the Battering Ram up to the point where it's not at risk of removal, but sure, we'll throw that on there, because although our Ballistas are more important, they have pretty big boosts here, and our other ones are also going to get boosted when we use the Amphibious Assaults on them. Although, to tell you the truth, we probably should have boosted the other Siege Masters. Get those a little bit safer. That definitely would have been better. But they've already used a lot of their removal, and now they're going to turn to their engines. But the problem for them is that we have quite a setup here that I don't think they're going to be prepared to handle, because we're going to give ourselves tons and tons of charges here. Except, first, I'm getting a little bit ahead of myself, because we, of course, can get more of these Ballistas out there first, and if they just forfeit, they realize there is no way they can catch up to that. Okay, so going into Nilfgaard here, and they'll go first. And they're using Enslave, so I'm expecting this to be a tactic-heavy deck with primarily Hefty Helga. And for our hand here, we have Natalis, which we can use to get Amphibious Assault. We'd like to get Oneiromancy, ideally, as well. And I think we save Necromancy for round 2 or 3 because it does give Doom, so let's try to get rid of you. And 2 Ballistas, we'd perhaps like for those to be our Amphibious Assault targets, but we can make do as is. Maybe just dump a Siege Ladder. Okay, they're going to create a copy of a soldier. What kind of soldier, I ask? Okay, well, yep, soldiers that get boosted by the number of tactics. They have 4. For what it's worth. I think what we do here is we start off with a Mantlet, get ourselves some armor on the future units that we play, make them a little bit tankier, harder to take out. And now they're gonna, okay, load up on some damage by playing the soldiers rather than the tactics. And it does get rid of Mantlet's armor, which does make it a little bit weaker, so that is unfortunate. But I think we go with the Ballistas now. And they will not be able to seize the Ballista, but they will seize the Mantlet. The second one is going to go wasted. And we'll play our second Ballista, but it does mean that with no Mantlet, it's going to just have 5 strength and no armor at all. Okay, and they're going to get some big boosts going on again. Oh, and now they seize. It's unfortunate. They have some damage, yes. But I think what we do now is we go with John Natalis into Amphibious Assault and use that to get ourselves a couple of Siege Masters out here. And now, this Ballista has some charges to deal some damage, but do we have an obvious target here? I'd say perhaps not, other than maybe just getting rid of the barricade on you. Suppose we'll do that. Just to reduce your future damage. Okay, now they're going to deal some damage, and it will take 2 rounds of Turning Joust to destroy any of our cards here. But it looks like they are going to go for the Ballista. Oh no, they split it. That was silly. But okay, so crucial that we kept the Ballista here, because what that allows us to do now is go reinforcements, create more Ballistas, and we can create a combo of Ballista, Siege Master, Ballista, Siege Master, and then more Ballista. And let's just make sure that we're boosting the cards that need it most here. And perhaps that means you as well. And with these charges now, I think we just start damaging units for the sake of damaging units. Okay, another round of Turning Joust. Now again, I'd say the best thing to do would be, to get rid of that Siege Master there. Might have been best to use one of the boosts on him. But it does mean that they're only able to destroy one of our cards with that double special card there. So, still not terrible. And we still have a lot of charges, especially if we say we're to go with Bombardment here. Or potentially even Knighthood if we were concerned about their damage. But we have enough siege engines out here that I think Bombardment is perhaps still a good play. Slightly better. And now, let's just follow up by cleaning up the mess that we've left here. And, let's just remove you. And, yes, just, deal some damage here and there. And they'll pass. And that means that we will take it on even here in round 1. And let's swap out of a siege ladder here. And maybe see if we can, well, we definitely don't want a Kaedweni Knight. Want to be playing those from our deck. Got Korathi Heatwave. We have Siege. We're on even cards here. We might play for the 2-0 win here and try to take it in round 2. I think. Let's give it a shot. Now, if they have a Heatwave, we're probably going to bait that one out. No, they're going for a Runestone. And with that Nausicaa Sergeant, I mean, decent early round play, but hopefully we'll have the damage to just remove it before it can get boosted. Same here. Okay, so now what we do is we go Amphibious Assault into Pavetta. And with Pavetta, we bring back the Ballistas. And then with our second Amphibious Assault, we could do any of a number of things. We could bring Trollololo and use him as a more points-oriented engine, or we could bring back our first of the Ballistas and focus more on the damage. Maybe we stick with that strategy here. Because I think we can overwhelm them with that damage pretty quickly, based on how many siege units we're already building up. Now, they're going to take out Hefty Helga. Now, this is their centerpiece of this deck. But I think we have enough damage ready to go that we could perhaps remove that altogether. Even a Bombardment here with, 3 siege engines out is a lot of damage and does give additional charges for our Reinforced Ballista. That's very tempting and might be the best route just to make sure that we shut off Hefty Helga before it can become a problem. So let's go for it here, I think. Especially with 2 rounds of it. It does, in fact, destroy all of their cards. And Imperial Diplomacy, they'll get a random card from our faction, but I don't think that's going to be a huge difference maker. Sure. Radovit's Royal Guards. Then round 2 is a Trebuchet. Sure. We'll probably just destroy one, if not both of those. Okay, so now I think we Amphibious Assault, and we get out more of these Ballistas, and that will trigger the Bombardment from Siege. Now, this one's only going to trigger once, because it's actually the second special card we're playing after Amphibious Assault. Second round of Amphibious Assault. Could get another Ballista out there. We could focus on the points with Trollololo. But I like what we're doing with the damage, so I think we stick with this. And we certainly have enough damage to destroy you. Okay, another round of Imperial Diplomacy. See if it's any different this time. Of course, we've gotten stronger in the meantime, although boiling oil is certainly different from what they were doing before. It is enough to destroy a Trebuchet, not that that was our primary damage dealer. And they'll get a siege engine of their own again. Okay, and I think they're gonna... Oh, okay. They're just gonna forfeit here. Because, well, we could have destroyed anything they were able to play. Okay, so we'll go against Skellige here. And they'll go first. And we got a couple Mantlets in our hand. I do like starting off with those, but we have no Oneiromancies and no Amphibious Assaults, and those are definitely two cards we'd like to be playing. So let's see if we can dump Siege Ladder and maybe Bombardment. But we did not get either of them. That is difficult. Now, we could use Pincer Maneuver to get Amphibious Assault, and that is likely what we will opt to do. They're going to go Johnny. I'm guessing this will likely be, well, I would have said an Alchemy, Druid, Scenario deck, but I'm a little bit surprised by their choice of leader ability in that case. So either way, Johnny plus Sarah I think is almost guaranteed. Might mean we have a little bit of time to set things up, though, while they're putting down those units. So maybe we take this opportunity to play the Mantlets. Yeah, and here is Sarah. Okay, as expected. Here comes leader ability. Early at that. And lots of it. It does, of course, remove the armor on Mantlet, so it's not quite as strong, so there is something to be said for that, but maybe we deliberately avoid playing our other Mantlet in order to avoid that getting weakened as well. In that case, let's play the Siege Master this turn, and then next turn we'll look to use Pincer Maneuver into Amphibious Assault and get some of the Ballistas out here. Okay, Armor Up will deal a bit of damage. Now, will they destroy the Mantlet? That may be what they opt to do here. Okay, so we just barely have our Siege Master hanging on here. But let's next focus on going Pincer Maneuver to start things off with for what we take. We definitely want Amphibious Assault. We probably dumped the Siege Ladder, I think. And now we play Amphibious Assault and use that to get ourselves a couple of reinforced Ballistas. Right next to the Siege Expert. And they will get boosted a fair bit in the process now. Siege Master is perhaps not long for this world, so let's use our ability here. And Cataclysm could certainly be the thing to do it here. As well as the random damage from Johnny, but he actually does randomly happen to survive here, so we lucked out a bit, and I think in that case what we do is we reinforcements on the Ballistas to create additional copies of them, and in doing so we power up our existing Ballistas here, and now I think we definitely try to remove the Johnnies and Sarahs of the world. Now, Sarah has far less power, so that's much more straightforward for us to do. But we'll start working on Johnny as well, I think. And Gerd is effective, especially because that will guarantee that they get rid of our Siege Master. But we at least got some boosts out of him, and I think now is probably Winch time, in order to give ourselves more charges for these Ballistas here. Let's boost the ones that are a little bit weaker. And now we have perhaps more charges than we know what to do with. Let's get rid of Johnny for sure. And then with our remaining strength, I think probably perhaps Gerd. It's not quite enough to remove him, but it's close. Okay, and Giga Scorpion Decoction will deal a fair bit of damage here. Though they actually split the damage across numerous of our ballistas and opt not to take any of them out. But at this point, what we really would like would be additional warfare cards in order to get more charges on the reinforced ballistas, but we don't have those right now. So that is a bit tough. I think we do go Necromancy, though. And we go Mantlet first, followed by the Siege Master. And they'll go Regis. Ah, this is definitely what they were trying to set up, right? And this will actually work quite well for them. They'll get 3 rounds of this. Not often you see that work. But I think perhaps we now pass here, knowing that we are going to be a card up and likely getting a dry pass win in round 2. But it does mean we won't have last say in round 3, but I think we'll still be fine here, because we'll be able to have a nifty play with Pavetta bringing back all of our ballistas for round 3, and that'll give us a lot of firepower. And I don't think our opponent will see that coming. So they take round 1 here. Okay, and in many ways, this is actually perhaps our ideal outcome. We got Land of 1,000 Fables, which means we can use that to get Oneiromancy. We already have our double Amphibious Assaults. And then Pavetta will be our way of getting back those reinforced trebuchets I was talking about before. So I like that. Especially Heatwave in our hand means we can definitely play it twice. Don't need to use one of our other special cards to get it, in which case we only play it once. So I think we stick with this. And they pass. So I think we go Land of 1,000 Fables here just to get Oneiromancy and get the echoed copies of it for next round. So this into this, and then just basically looking to play our weakest cards here, which I think are likely to end up being our Siege Ladders. Let's play those. Okay, and that'll give us a nice straightforward round 2 victory here, and set ourselves up for a stronger round 3 as well. Okay, so we got our double Oneiromancy and then Winch. Anything we'd like to have instead of Winch, maybe Natalis instead, or Siege. And we got Bombardment, which is fine, but I think we lead off with Mantlet to give ourselves additional armor with every future card that we play here. Then they're going to deal some damage. Now, this will remove the armor from Mantlet, which it's unfortunate, but we'll live with it. Trollololo likely comes next. Okay, and here comes Delirium, which will deal a lot of damage. Perhaps even enough to destroy every card in our melee row. I think it will. And that is unfortunate, but in some ways we're okay with those units tanking much of the damage that we would rather them take than, say, our reinforced ballistas. So now I think we go with Pavetta to get those back. And we get all 4 of them, which is huge. They're going to deal more damage. I mean, it really doesn't matter much against Pavetta. She's already done her job. And in case you were wondering when the siege comes, I think the answer is now. Let's break you out. Unfortunately, they didn't happen to play any cards in the range row. That would have been nice. Our Trebuchet could deal some damage there. But second round Oneiromancy, we could start to break out some of the ballistas, but I think we probably prefer to do that once we have our Amphibious Assault active. We could preemptively get a Siege Master down there, although we'd like to have this strong enough that it doesn't get destroyed. Let's try that. And they will Heatwave. Is it going to be the scenario? Probably, right? Yeah. That's one of the downsides of Siege, but it is, in some ways, kind of nice for them to get rid of their Heatwave, because now we are free to go Amphibious Assault into all of our ballistas. Of course, means we won't get additional siege engines out there triggering from the siege scenario. Yes, you're right, but we'll live with it. Alright, and they don't have enough Bloodlust to completely and immediately destroy these ballistas. They have to go 2 rounds of a special card just to remove one of them. Well, hate to break it to you, but there's more where that came from. So let's go with you, and let's get another one with you. And this time we can start dishing out some damage with our remaining ballista. Okay, they're going to give Vitality. That's not really going to make any difference at all. And I'm thinking this turn we probably go Oneiromancy. We have many choices here. We can go boost and damage with Winch, pure damage with Bombardment, pure boost with Kaedweni Knight, so take your pick. But either way, let's get the job done here. So I think Natalis is definitely going to happen. And then with that, let's maybe Winch. And then second round, we'll Bombardment, and this is probably going to destroy just about everything with the Bombardment alone. It does. We can save our charges here. And they just forfeit. I mean, we had a ton of damage and outright removal with Heatwave remaining, so it was going to be really tough for them to catch up, and they realized. Okay, so go against Nilfgaard here. And we'll go first. And I don't like the Kaedweni Knights in our hand here. I do like the Oneiromancy, though. Let's dump you guys. And Mantlet is good early. We can use Land of 1,000 Fables to get our Amphibious Assault. So that sounds fine. Even have 2 reinforced ballistas. Yeah, let's keep this. And let's go Mantlet first. Load up on the armor. And they're going to use Oneiromancy. This will be telling. Okay, creating a copy of one of their cards in their hand. And then also what looks like a defender. Alba Pikeman will deal some damage, specifically to the melee row. That's going to be tough for Mantlet, but most of our other cards, I think, are going to end up in the range row. Here is the defender. Now, normally it's best to play that defender first, because you'll get to double the battle preparation, but not this time. So I think what we do here is let's Oneiromancy. And with that Oneiromancy, let's get out our Siege Masters. And they'll get some armor. Yeah, and they'll get destroyed. It's not terrible, because we, of course, do have Pavetta. We do have Necromancy. We have a few ways to get them back if we feel the need to. But for now, let's get the Ballistas out first. Then we'll see what makes sense with those Siege Masters. Okay, now they're going to lock this, which is a little bit concerning, because we don't have any Purification. But if we go with our second one here, we're hoping that this one does not get locked, and then maybe even using our tactic on our Mantlet to try to keep that alive a little bit longer. Okay, other Alba Pikemen. Sure, it'll load up on the damage, but I think we should be set up enough now that that's not too much of a concern. So now let's go Land of 1,000 Fables into Amphibious Assault. And with Amphibious Assault, let's get Trollololo for some additional points. And then let's get Kaedweni Knight for other additional points here. Mostly just trying to set up for the additional copies of Amphibious Assault in round 2 or 3. And with our damage, of course, all we can do right now is hit this defender, so that's not doing too much for us. Maybe we save that for the time being. Triangle within a triangle, let's see, I was going to say, our units are pretty low provision costs, so I was going to say they're probably not going to be able to destroy them. They're going to focus on boosting themselves instead. But if we go with Natalis here is what I was thinking, then go with reinforcements to create additional copies of the reinforced Ballista. That means we should get significantly more damage. We could start to at least break through the armor on the defender, if nothing else. Is that something that we are interested in doing at this stage, or do we want to see if they ultimately do finally play a card in the range row? Okay, now they're going to keep on boosting here, hiding behind that defender. And they're even going to lock, yeah, unfortunately, that siege engine that had the most charges, which does make sense. Perhaps reason for us to have done it earlier. We're even going to lock Trollololo, which is also a bit of a setback. We do still have the ability to deal some damage with these reinforced trebuchets, especially if we consider that we do have Knighthood, which is another warfare card, to give them additional charges still. We could also pincer maneuver into Winch to get more charges that way, but I think let's keep it simple for now. Let's focus on the Knighthood. Make it a little bit harder for these reinforced ballistas to get destroyed. And let's make a point of dealing the damage while we can. We perhaps got punished a little bit for being picky with our damage previously. Okay, they'll pass, but it's not quite enough damage for them to catch us here. So we will take round 1 in that case. We are a card down, but that's no problem. We'll just try passing round 2. Okay, so we drew into our Amphibious Assaults, and we should have an Oneiromancy if we say flip around our Necromancy. There we go. And if we really wanted to, we could try for the 2-0 here, but I think we will try pass in order to get back our 1-card disadvantage, be back on even cards for round 3. They'll go Imperial Brigade, and it's not even going to trigger its deploy ability, but I guess they don't really care, because that will still be enough for them to take round 2. Okay, now let's get rid of Kaedweni Knight. We want to keep that in our deck. I like Necromancy in our hand, that way we can be sure to play it twice. Other than that, I think we're looking pretty good here. Okay, they're going to Oneiromancy. Into what, though? Really? Nausicaa Sergeant? I mean, it's just a 4 provision cost card, but it is good early around, I suppose. And then Philip Van Morlehem, perhaps more understandable. Okay, and I think what we do is we start off with Princess Pavetta. We don't mind if she gets damaged by Philip. So we do this, and you are primarily here to just get back the ballistas as quickly as possible. And Joachim, he is going to be a pretty big point slam for them. They'll use it to get the Alba Pikeman. Okay, I think we go with Mantlet here. It's certainly a possibility it'll lose its armor quickly to Alba Pikeman, but it will help with the future cards we play, so we'll go for it. And they're going to, of course, coup de grace on Joachim here. And they will get some more damage with that unit they just got as well, but they have another round of coup de grace, which presumably they're going to do on another Joachim. So there's the boosts and the damage. Joachim number 3. This time, Imperial Diviner, Purification, plus Assimilate. Okay, so I think now we probably do play Siege. And this could get Heatwave. That is not out of the question. In fact, that is exactly what's going to happen here. But that's actually fine, because, surprise, surprise, it is arguably not our strongest card in this deck. That honor perhaps belongs to the cards that we bring out right here. The Ballistas. Let's do that now. And Prothans, well, we'll create copies of those ballistas that we just created, right? Okay, and let's go with another round of said ballistas. Okay, and we do have the ability to deal a fair bit of damage with them right now. Now, what do we want to do with that, though? We could remove Brothans. He's a bit of an engine. Remove Philip Van Morlehem, who's dealing some consistent damage. Ballista will have a little bit of damage for them. I think maybe we prioritize getting rid of Philip for now, although either one's going to be worth, what, you know, roughly 1 per turn. Okay, and Oneiromancy, this time round, is going to lock, and this hurts. So, of course, it's going to be on one of our ballistas here, and then is it going to be another one? No, it's going to be Assimilate here. I think we probably prefer that, to be honest. Now what I think we do is we Necromancy into our Siege Masters. Get those guys coming back. And with our few remaining charges, we were closer to removing the Slave Hunter than we are Brothans. They're both, at this point, just Assimilate units, so I think we prioritize trying to get rid of you if we can. Okay, Duchess's Informants. What are they going to create a copy of? And they could, in some ways, start to steal some of our combos here. But it's largely that those engines are getting refueled with the Warfare cards, which they don't have. Alright, so let's get some more siege units out here. Namely, the Siege Ladder. And with you, I think we're basically just looking to move Hoakims around. And same idea here, although we could potentially get some winches going, and that might actually be better. This is only going to happen once, of course, because this will be our second special card. Why don't we get rid of you? And get rid of, well, at least deal damage to you. Okay, now you're going to purify one of our Doom units? I mean, thanks, I guess? It's mostly assimilate, right? Okay, and I think now we Bombardment, because we want to save Oneiromancy for last when we can use it in part to Heatwave, one of their best cards. So let's go for this. And round 2. And let's boost our fellow Siege Masters here, just make them a little bit harder to take out. And then, with our remaining damage, let's try to remove as many assimilates as we can. And they realize they can't catch us there. They forfeit. So there's a look at an extremely powerful Northern Realms Siege deck for the dual casting seasonal event. If you liked the video, then make sure to hit the like and subscribe button, and leave a comment down below to let me know which other cards, archetypes, and factions you'd like us to try out next. Thank you all for watching, and I'll catch you next time.